Okay, so I will chant and you can repeat while on mute. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha Karpanyadoshopahatas Svabhavaha पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यत् श्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाससे गतासून् अगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति योगयुक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेन्द्रियः सर्वभूतात्मभूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं नात्मानमवसादयेत् आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानाम् अन्त एव च भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरम् सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः Samadukha sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischayah mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo mad bhaktas same priyah. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Good. So we have been seeing the essence of the Gita, and Arjuna is asking Krishna to clear his confusion regarding what is right and what is wrong. Right. So now Krishna gives the Gita teaching, and the first verse where the Gita teaching starts has the entire summary. We saw na anushochanti panditaha. Wise man does not grieve. So Gita helps us to get over all sorrow completely through knowledge. Knowledge of who am I. That is the whole idea. And we saw the description of the Jivan Mukta, the person who is free while living. So elaborate descriptions are given in the Gita, and we used this shloka from this the Prajna Lakshana to understand that. And then we saw the path of the Gita. So the what is stopping us from the knowledge? There are three problems which stop us from having the knowledge of who am I. The first one is depending upon this world for security. Second is depending upon this world for pleasure. And third is a sense of limited individuality. These three are the problems. These three are the roadblocks that is preventing us from knowing our true nature. These three put together is what is called as Mahamaya, right? So Mahamaya has clouded our intellect, and it has hidden from us the truth. And it has hidden the truth from us by these three ways, right? By making us run behind this world for security, making us run behind this world for pleasure, and a sense of limited individuality. Now, we need to overcome these three with the help of Mahamaya. We cannot fight with Mahamaya. We have to work along with Mahamaya and get over these three limitations and become a Jivan Mukta. And that is how Gita says how we can do that. Now, Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. So by Karma Yoga, the mind will become pure. Vichitatma Jitendriyaha. By Dhyana Yoga, we will be able to control the mind and the senses. And then Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. By Jnana Yoga, we will know our relationship with this universe, with the rest of this universe. And by knowing that, then we will be free. Now, to get to the next step, we took up the Panchakosha Viveka. That is what we started last week, and we will continue. Okay. So, Panchakosha Viveka is one of the fundamental concepts in Hinduism, in Indian culture, in Indian philosophy. Now, understanding it correctly is what will help us to understand the entire context of spiritual life and even worldly life according to the Indian culture. And it is whatever tradition which we might follow. It might be Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, Advaita, or it might be, like Nimbarkas or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, or any of the modern, art of living, or Isha Gurukulam, or Mata Amritanandamayi, Ramakrishna Mission, Chinmaya Mission, Divine Life Society, whichever tradition you follow, understanding this Panchakosha is essential to the whole thing. The more thoroughly you understand the Panchakosha, the better you will be able to easily understand all these philosophies, and you'll be able to put together why we are doing what we are doing. Okay. So we took this shloka to understand it. So we'll have a quick recap of what we discussed last week on this, and then we will continue. So we saw that there are 5 koshas identified, right? And the first one is called Annamaya Kosha, the physical sheath. And Annamaya Kosha is everything that is physical. The physical body is Annamaya, which is common between a dead body and a living body. Now, Pranamaya Kosha is the physiological layer where this is the life principle: the respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, the pumping heart, like the breathing action of the lungs, the filtering action of the kidneys. So all these physiological systems put together is called Pranamaya Kosha. Okay. And then Manomaya Kosha is the emotional layer, which is about likes and dislikes, right? All our likes and dislikes and all our emotions, right? Anger, jealousy, desire, greed, what books we like, what places we like, what food we like, what movies we like, what type of weather we like. All kinds of likes and dislikes come under Manomaya Kosha or emotional layer. Then Vijnanamaya Kosha is the layer of right and wrong. That is a value system. All value systems come under Vijnanamaya Kosha, right? Our patriotism, political affiliation, religious beliefs, right? And our own idea of what is right and what is wrong, right? Why should we be honest? Why should we be kind? Why should we follow discipline, right? Following discipline, vratas, right? So all those things come under Vijnanamaya Kosha. Clear? Now, the Anandamaya Kosha, that is the repository of all our whatever we carry from one life to another life. Karma phala, samskara, right? And jnana. These are the 3 main things, right? So every situation we face in life comes from the karma phala, which is the Anandamaya Kosha. Now, as an individual, right? As an individual called what we call as Jivatma, as an individual, I am the Anandamaya Kosha, right? Not these 4. I am not Annamaya Kosha, I am not Pranamaya Kosha, I am not Manomaya Kosha, and I am not Vijnanamaya Kosha. These are all my instruments. Now, as an individual, my identity is at the Anandamaya Kosha level, and that is the identity. But then there is one more level higher. As pure consciousness, I am beyond this Anandamaya Kosha also. Okay. So, as consciousness, I am beyond all the 5 koshas. That is the reality. That is the final level. But then, temporarily, as a working model, I identify myself with this Anandamaya Kosha so that I can work towards whatever is needed. Okay. So, as an individual, I am Anandamaya Kosha, but in reality, I am pure. As pure consciousness, I am beyond that too. Now, the entire Gita is about these 2 identities. How to establish the individuality as an individual, identity as an individual, and work towards that and strengthen that, stabilize that, and prepare to go to the next one. And as pure consciousness, how to establish my identity, right, as a universal. So these are the 2 problems we have at hand. Okay, the whole entire spiritual life is basically about these 2. The first one, as an individual, I am Anandamaya Kosha. That is what is called as dharma. We saw. As consciousness, I am beyond that too. That is called as moksha. Right? So the dharma is identifying myself with the Anandamaya Kosha and behaving accordingly, whatever is needed. Moksha is going even beyond that, right? And establishing myself as pure consciousness. So this is dharma, this is moksha. Now, we saw the transactional view also, right? Now we saw that how for an animal and how for a human being, the Panchakosha work, right? As we go through the various life experiences, how it goes in, and right, like how the experiences go in and how they are absorbed and worked upon by the various koshas, and then eventually, right, how the decision is made based on jnana and samskara at the subconscious level, and how they come down and become as a effective action. So this whole cycle we saw, and the important thing to note is that the decisions are made at the subconscious level, and our free will is to form good samskara and good jnana, so that the subconscious decision which is made comes out correctly, right? So by self analysis and self discipline, we can build our subconscious mind. By self analysis, we build jnana. By self discipline, we build samskara. So this building of jnana and samskara is the entire spiritual sadhana, right? And of course, karma phala. Karma phala is the punya. We do good actions, we get punya, and it is a punya which will give us situations, satsanga, and the opportunity to meet a guru, the opportunity to read some good books, the opportunity to listen to some good talks. All these things come by karma phala. So we need to do punya to be able to even get an exposure into spiritual life. And once we have that, it is just building up jnana and samskara correctly. So these three, karma phala, jnana, samskara, these three are the ones which we carry from one life to another life. Okay. So we'll look at more details about that today as we go on. Okay. Now, this Panchakosha is there in so many places. In Gita only, there are multiple places where Panchakosha is talked about. And there are several Upanishads, and of course, the Prakarana Granthas, almost all Prakarana Granthas will talk about Panchakosha, right? Like Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, they all talk about Panchakosha. And Viveki Chudamani and those books. And Gita also talks about Panchakosha in multiple contexts. We will see some of them. And the in Kathopanishad, there gives an example to easily understand the Panchakosha. It is called Ratha Kalpana, right? So in Kathopanishad, there is this two shlokas which compares the Panchakosha, the whole thing, as a chariot, right? Now a chariot example is given, and then Atmanam Ratitam Vidhi. So here Atma is the Jivatma, the Karna Sharira, or the Anandamaya Kosha. So the Anandamaya Kosha is the passenger. Okay. The passenger is the Anandamaya Kosha, and Shariram Ratham Evatu. So the Ratha is the Sharira, which is the Annamaya Kosha. Right? The Shariram Ratham Evatu. Buddhim tu Saratim Vidhi. The Buddhimaya Kosha is the charioteer. Mana Prahamayevacha. Pragrahamayevacha. So there is the mind is the reins, right, which connect the horses. Now, Indriyani Hayan. So the horses are the Indriyas, which of course is a part of the Manomaya Kosha only. The faculties are also part of Manomaya Kosha. So the Indriya is also there, and the senses are the objects on the world on which we travel, right? So the world which we experience, that is the road, right? And those are the objects. Now this whole system, right, is given as an example. So let us say, like, you want to go from Alsur to Koramangala. Now you hire one auto. You bring one, there's an auto guy going on the road, you stop the auto. So what is the first thing? You tell the auto guy, I want to go to Koramangala. Now if the auto wala says, no, I am going to Jayanagar. If you want to Jayanagar, you come. I don't want to go to Koramangala. So the first thing is, if you want to know where you want to reach, the charioteer should listen to the passenger. The charioteer should not go where he wants to go, right? The charioteer should go where the passenger wants to go. That is the first thing. And the passenger should know where he wants to go. The passenger should have the clarity of the destination, and the charioteer should obey the passenger. Then the horses must obey the charioteer, right? The horses must obey the charioteer, and the charioteer should have not too tight, not too loose. That is why it's a beautiful example where given is the rein of the horse, right? The control over the senses should be not too tight that it will restrict their freedom, but not too loose that you give them complete freedom. So there should be the right balance of control. And if this is there, then the passenger will reach the destination. Now, if the horses don't obey the charioteer, then it will lead to an accident. If the charioteer does not obey the passenger, he will take the passenger somewhere else. So all those problems are there. So this hierarchy of control has to be correctly established. And that is what there is a Gita shloka which tells about this hierarchy of control. It says, Indriyani paranyahuhu indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddhihi yo buddhehe parasastu saha. So, indriyani paran ahuhu. So, the senses are greater than the sense objects. Okay, so here the sense objects is the world outside, which you can say even includes the Annamaya Kosha and the world outside, and the senses and the mind, that is the Manomaya Kosha, right? So, the mind is greater than the senses, right? So, the mind is the controller and the senses obey the mind. The mind should be having the control. And the intellect, it should be greater than the mind, right? The buddhi, right? Manasastu para buddhihi. The buddhi should have more precedence than the mind. And the person is greater than the intellect. So here person means the Karana Sharira or the Anandamaya Kosha, the Jivatma. Now the Jivatma should be is greater than the Buddhimaya Kosha also. So now the most important thing here is Manasastu para buddhihi, right? So the intellect is greater than the mind. Now, so we saw about Shreyas and Preyas, right? So letting the mind do what it wants is Preyas, and having control by the intellect over the mind is called Shreyas, right? So whenever you have decisions to make, you make decisions based on what is right and what is wrong, and not based on what you like and dislike, right? That is the basic thing. So now what you need to understand is the body, the health of the body, the emotions, the intellect, they are all your instruments, right? They are all your instruments, and you have the free will and the responsibility for your decisions. The decision maker. So how do you define the Jivatma or the individual, the Karana Sharira, that part? So you are the one who has the free will, right? You have the one who has the free will, and along with freedom comes responsibility. So you have the responsibility also for your decisions, right? That is the basic thing. Now, you have to hold all the instruments under your control, and that is what is called as real freedom. Now, suppose you are sitting on a horse, you are riding a horse. Now, what is freedom? To let the horse go wherever it wants, or you decide where the horse will take you. Now, freedom is where you have control over the horse, and you decide where the horse will take you, and you make the horse take you where you want to go. That is real freedom. Whereas if the horse decides where to go, that is not freedom, that is slavery to the horse, that is bondage to the horse. Now, this we need to be very clear. So, the instruments we should have under control. Now, suppose let us say I want to wake up every day at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock morning, I want to wake up. Now, if I am able to have control over my body and mind, that I decide to wake up at 5 o'clock every day, and I wake up at 5 o'clock every day. Now, that is freedom. Whereas, if I want to wake up at 5 o'clock every day, but this body and mind don't cooperate, even if I keep an alarm at 5 o'clock, in the sleep only the body goes and switches off the alarm and goes back to sleep. And I suppose if this body and mind wake up whenever they want, sleep whenever they want, eat whatever they want, right? And eat whenever they want, eat how much ever they want. Now, if the body and mind leads this kind of random and licentious life, that is not freedom, that is bondage. Why? Because I am the Karana Sharira, I am the Jivatma, I am not this body and mind. So the body and mind having freedom and doing whatever they want is not freedom to me, that is bondage to me. So real freedom is having discipline. So discipline is real freedom, right? Leading an unplanned random life is not freedom, that is bondage. Because I am not the horse, I am the rider of the horse, right? Freedom to the horse is not my freedom, freedom to the horse is my bondage. Whereas bondage to the horse and freedom to me is real freedom. So we should understand this concept clearly. How do I establish my freedom? I put a timetable. I decide when to wake up, when to go to sleep. I decide when to eat, how much to eat, what to eat. And I follow Vrata, right? I follow Ekadasi Vrata. I follow Shivratri Vrata, right? Now, me deciding and establishing control over this body and mind, that is real freedom. That is the objective of all these Vratas and all. To establish my identity as the Jivatma and to establish my control over this body and mind. That can be done only by following discipline, by following all these vratas and all these things. And that is the way to build up the right samskara, right? The habits, so that I establish my freedom, right? So that is, we should understand that very, very clearly. And we should decide our goals and pursue them consciously, right? So even to achieve worldly goals, we should have full control over this body and mind. Otherwise, we can't even achieve worldly goals, leave alone the spiritual goals. For spiritual goals, it is always all the more important than for worldly goals. So, as I told you, the passenger should decide where to go, and the driver should obey the passenger, right? So, this is what is mentioned. We'll see when we look at the Gita shloka, whichever we picked up, Uddareda Atmanatmanam, that's what it means. But before we get back to the Gita shloka, now let us pause for some time and take some questions, and then I will proceed to much more, some more clarity on the same concept. So let me pause here. And let me open the, yeah, I think Avik has already turned on the microphone. Yeah. If anyone has any questions, like, you can unmute.
Sir, Namaskaram, sir. Sangeet here, sir.
Yeah.
So, one question on the point where you made that if the senses are also too much restrictive, it is again a bondage kind of thing you said, sir. So, why is it so? Can you
Yeah.
explain, sir?
So the good example what Kathopanishad gives, right? The horse example, right? Suppose, let us say you are saying these horses, I'm given 4 horses to for my chariot. Now I say, no, these horses are very strong and it is very difficult for me to control these horses. So let me starve them, let me beat them so that the horses become weak. Then I can control the horses easily. Suppose you do that. Now it is the same horses which have to take you to the destination also. So a weak horse will also reduces the capacity to take you to its destination. So the horses should be strong, right? But then the horses should be under your control. Now, just because it is difficult to control a strong horse, you should not make the horse weak. That will not solve your problem, right? So that is why whatever vratas which you follow, the vrata should not weaken your body and mind. The vrata should strengthen your control over your body and mind, right? So that is important.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Ajay, you can unmute and you can ask. You can unmute and ask, Ajay. You are on mute.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think our association with body and mind is such that, in this example of a chariot, the intellect and mind, I think those analogies are clear. But the Jivatma as a Karan Sharira is what we are calling as I, right?
Yes.
Here.
I as an individual.
Yes,
Right?
I
So,
as an individual, right? And I think that is something that is not easy to still associate or relate to.
okay,
So
fine.
any
So I'll yeah, the next slide is on that. So we will
okay,
have more clarity after that. We'll get back after the next slide.
okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Abbas. You can unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Sir, I had this question that uh, the Panchkosa that you explained,
Hmm.
if we look at from reductionist or if we
Hmm.
look at it from a scientific point of view, where we
Hmm.
where suppose one wants to explain everything starting from matter, even then
Hmm.
from the principle of emergence, one
Hmm.
can go through the five kosas starting from the
Ah.
annamaya to the anand. Um,
Hmm.
where exactly would you see
Okay.
the difference or similarity between the two? Yeah, that's
Yeah, beautiful question. And that is what is this next slide about. We'll talk about it. Okay. Yes, Bishajit.
Yeah, Gomu, Jai Shri Ram Krishna. I have a question. Like, all the fruits of karma we are bound to go through is the
Hmm.
analogy here.
Hmm.
Then, where is the start of my karma? Like, because when I started my journey as a Jivatma,
Hmm.
everything have been zero. Is it because of my free will, whatever I had accumulated, I'll be going to go through that, or something, someone is deciding my karmas?
Okay. So this model applies only, does not apply to the starting condition. Okay. So when we say I am a Jivatma, right? We say Jivatma is Anadi, right? It is eternal, right? Now, even there are so many shlokas in the Gita only which talk about that, right? Mama ivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. That sanatanaha basically says that Jivatma is Anadi, right? So there is no beginning. We cannot determine a beginning saying when did this all start. We cannot say. Okay. Now, why do we say it doesn't have a beginning? Because the very concept of karma is within the cause and effect system. So asking when did it start is like asking, what was there before Big Bang? Because time itself started with Big Bang only. So asking what was there before time started, or asking what is outside, like what is outside space. Now, once you have defined space as everything that is there is included in space, now asking a question like what is outside space, you know, basically like these are like basically we have a definition, right? And we are asking a question which violates the definition itself. Like so that way the question itself is not valid from that point of view. And another way to put it is, okay, this model is valid only for the middle part, right? Because, and in fact, this is one of the points which is discussed very detailedly in the Mandukya Karika, this thing, right? Like, so Mandukya Karika Bhashya, right, discusses this very, very, very detailedly. Now, so basically, like we say, Janma is because of karma, and then karma is what creates Janma. So Janma karma, it is a alternating chain. Now, where did this chain begin? Right? This is a question basically what you're asking, right? When Janma creates karma and karma creates Janma, like how did the first Janma come? Or how did the first karma come? Where did it all begin? So the simple answer is this question cannot be answered because the question assumes that you are within the system. So that is why, like, we say this whole system is a relative system, and eventually, like, next week we will see the other higher system about pure consciousness, where then we will reconcile. Okay, so now for this argument we are considering this panchakosha, and we are talking. That is why I keep on saying I as an individual, I as an individual, right? We are talking about I as an individual, right? So when you say I as an individual, that is what is jivatma. Okay, so the jivatma cannot question this, when did this karma start, because the jivatma is within that frame of reference itself, right?
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so we will continue. Okay, so we'll start presenting again. Okay, so now that we have understood this, right? Now we need to answer some questions. One is, as Abbas asked, like, how do we look at it from the scientific point of view, right? And then, so basically, like, we need to understand this better, right? So, just thinking, yeah. So before going to that, like, let me clarify this, just reiterate. So now what we have found is the whole objective is what we have established here is I am the Karna Sharira, which is the Anandamaya Kosha. And there are three things which are there, right? Which is the Punya, Samskara, and Jnana. Now, this Punya, Samskara, Jnana are the only three things which I carry from one life to another life, right? And that is what matters in life at all. Okay, so we will go through some logic, and then we'll come back to this and look at some examples. Okay, so now let us understand this still better. This, who am I as an individual? So as an individual, we say I am the wielder of free will, and I am responsible for my decisions. This is the definition for Jivatma. So who is Jivatma? What is Jivatma? That entity which holds the free will and is also responsible for the decisions. That is the Jivatma, right? Now, this is what I am. So I am the wielder of free will, and I am responsible for my decisions. This is the definition for me as the Jivatma. So now, to understand better, let us understand this idea of free will. What is this free will, right? Now, suppose, let us say, like, I have my hand, I lift my hand. Now, did I have the freedom to lift my hand or not? Now, yes, the obvious answer is yes. I decided to lift my hand, and I lifted. So I have that free will, right? So, but then I cannot decide to just fly like a bird. I cannot say, okay, I have free will, I can do whatever I want. I want to just fly. Now, this body is not designed for that, so I cannot do that, right? So there my free will stops. So that's a very beautiful, interesting thing. Like, one Sishya went to a guru and asked, do I have free will? What is the limit of my free will? Now the guru said, okay, I'll tell you, lift your right leg. Now the disciple was standing, so he lifted his right leg. Now he was standing on one leg. Now the guru said, now lift your left leg also. Now the disciple said, like, what do you mean? Like, I cannot lift it, I will fall down. So the teacher said, yes, so this is what is there. To lift your right leg, you have freedom, but to lift both the legs, you don't have freedom. You can lift only one leg. And Sri Krishna gives a very nice example for this. He says the example as a cow is tied to a tree with a long rope. Now the rope is there, so the cow can move around to the length of the rope and it can graze all the grass which is within that circle. But then it doesn't have freedom to go outside that circle, right? Because that is the length of the rope. So yes, there are restrictions posed by this body and mind and various circumstances. We agree. Now, within what is possible, we have free will. So whenever we talk about free will, it is about within what is possible, am I free to do what I want, right? So that we should be very clear. Now, the second thing is, okay, free from what, right? Free from what? So once we have excluded what is impossible and taken only what is possible, so now within what is possible, I say I have free will, I decide, right? So now what is this free will? What is this free? So that is where, let us consider the model of science. So science is based on what is called as materialistic monism. Okay, that is the philosophical or ontological position of science. So what does it mean? It means matter alone exists. Everything is matter. That is what is the fundamental axiom of science. So what happens from matter? Life evolved, and then from life became complex, and then brain came, and the living beings were able to think, and that is how thoughts are. So which means, according to science, every thought is a product of electrical and chemical reactions happening in the physical brain. Every thought is the product of electrical and chemical reactions happening in the physical brain. This is the position of science. Okay. Now, if we accept this position, then there is no free will, because now if the thoughts are product of physics and chemistry that happening in the brain, then the free will, the idea of free will, or the so-called idea of free will, is also a product of thought. It's a product of matter. So there is no free will, right? Because if every thought is purely a product of the electrical and chemical reactions happening in the brain, then there cannot be free will, right? Everything is decided by matter. And of course, science, so everything is cause and effect, and everything started with the Big Bang, and the whole dynamism was started at the Big Bang. So which means that you and I are sitting now here and discussing was decided during the Big Bang at the point of singularity 13.8 billion years ago. The entire universe, like, of course, like quantum mechanics, and that brings in some amount of non-determinism. But even though non-determinism is there, there is no individual or person on whom that randomness is attributed to. So which means like that also can be put in as a part of the system, as a part of the deterministic system. So everything in this universe is determined to the details completely, and everything is predestined, everything is predetermined, and there is no individual, there is no freedom, there is no free will. That is the position of science, right? So according to science, when we follow a materialistic paradigm, materialism, then there is no free will at all. There is no free will. And in fact, this is the position taken by several scientists, right? And in fact, one of the interviews which was published in the Hindu newspaper a few years back, the great neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran, they asked him this question, and he said 95% of neuroscientists don't believe in free will. And there is a famous Leggett experiment, so there are which are there. Okay. So according to science, there is no free will. Now, when we say free will, when we say the Jivatma has free will, what does it mean? The Jivatma has something which is beyond the control of this chemistry and physics, right? So the thoughts in the brain are not the product of the electrical and chemical reactions happening in the brain alone. The electrical and chemical reactions happening in the brain are needed for thoughts to manifest. But then that is not the cause. The cause is non-material, but the manifestation is in matter. That is a position that we take. Okay. So a good example is a radio. If you take an FM radio, right? Now the radio plays some nice music. Now where does the music come from? It comes from the radio, right? Now, how do we know it comes from the radio? If I buy a small 50 rupee radio, I will get one quality of music. If I buy a very high quality FM radio, then I will get better music. So the quality of the sound depends on the quality of the radio. So which means, yes, the sound comes from the radio. But then is the radio the origin for the sound? Can the radio play by itself? No. The music has to come from the radio station, which is non-material as far as the radio is concerned. Right? Of course, that is a form of electromagnetic waves, which is also matter at the final stage. But then as far as this example is concerned, right, the radio is the physical radio, and there are electrons flowing in the circuit of the radio, and then which is moving the speaker, and the sound comes. Right? This much is material. But then the music comes as a form of waves, which is external to the radio, which is independent of the radio, and the radio is only a manifesting medium. And the quality of manifestation, of course, will depend on the quality of the radio. Right? So this is a very beautiful example where we can understand the relationship between Jivatma and this body. Right? So the Jivatma is like the radio station, right? And it is completely non-material. The Jivatma is not made of matter. Okay, it is not body, it is not mind, right? We saw Stula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Stula Sharira is the body, the physical matter. Sukshma Sharira is the mind and the dynamic part of it, which is called subtle matter. Now, the Karana Sharira is not either of these two, right? It is not material, right? Now, it is a Karana Sharira, the samskaras, the jnana, and the free will, the decision which is made at the Karana Sharira level, right? And the punya which is there in the Karana Sharira. So that is all non-material things. That is not made of matter. Okay. And that is what influences the body and mind to do some things. And in response to that, the electrical and chemical reactions happen in the physical brain as a medium for manifestation by the Jivatma. The Jivatma is non-material, but this body, this brain, these are all material, and the Jivatma influences or manifests or uses this brain to manifest itself, and that we see as the electrical and chemical activity in the brain. So the Jivatma is not a product of the brain. The brain is there, but the activity in the brain is a product of the way the Jivatma exercises its free will. So that way, the Jivatma's free will has a meaning. It is free, right? Freedom is there. The Jivatma has free will, and the brain is a manifesting medium, right? And the quality of the brain, the quality of the body affects to to what extent the Jivatma can manifest, right? That is there, right? But then the Jivatma is independent of this body and mind, and that is why, that is the meaning of that free in free will, right? Free from matter. Okay. So I am not a product of matter. This body and mind are product of matter, but I, as the Jivatma, I am not a product of matter. I am independent of matter. I am beyond material science. The materialistic science cannot explain Jivatma, right? Jivatma is non-material and doesn't come under the purview of science. The purview of science stops with Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Karana Sharira is beyond the purview of science today. Okay. Now, so up to this, it is clear, right? So now that we have defined the Jivatma as an independent entity, which is not material, which does not come under the laws of science. Now, moment you declare an independent entity, according to nature, because see, we are not rejecting the process of science. We are only rejecting that science is restricted to only the material universe, but Jivatma is beyond the material universe. But then the process of science, the logic of science, all those things are valid still, right? So in science, if you see, the moment we say, right, matter is an independent entity, then immediately we have to apply the law of conservation, right? Law of conservation. So we will say momentum is an independent entity. Then we have to apply the law of conservation of momentum, linear momentum, angular momentum, all those things we know. So the moment when we declare charge is an independent entity, independent of mass and momentum, charge is an independent entity, then we can apply the conservation laws, law of conservation of charge, independently to the charge. They will not conflict with each other, right? So anytime we declare an independent entity or an independent parameter of property, to that property, law of conservation will apply, and we have to declare the laws for that. So now, moment we have declared that free will is an independent entity, free will is independent of matter. So now the law of conservation will apply to free will, because the way we apply free will be possible only if there is a law which connects the cause to the effect, right? Suppose, let us say, hunger and eating, right? If I am hungry, if I eat, my hunger will go away. This is a cause and effect, right? Now, suppose if this law of cause and effect is not there. Today, if I eat, my hunger goes away. Yesterday, when I ate, my hunger did not go away. And day before yesterday, when I ate, my neighbor's hunger went away. My hunger did not go. Now, if it is so random, then if I am hungry, I cannot decide to eat. Okay. So, if I am hungry, if I eat, my hunger goes. Now, this is a law. This is a constant law. Now, it is only based on this law that I can decide to eat when I am hungry. Clear? So, now the same thing here also. Now, when I am given free will, when I am given the freedom to choose between multiple options, on what basis will I choose? Right? There should be a constant law which connects the cause to the effect. Right? So that is what is called as law of karma. Right? Law of karma is the law of conservation applied to this independent entity called Jivatma, who has this capability called free will. Right? So when I say I am the wielder of free will and I am responsible for my decisions, it basically follows this pattern, which is a part of the nature. So I am the independent entity, the Jivatma, and I have free will, which is my faculty or my capability, and the cause and effect system will apply. So I am responsible for my free will. So now law of karma is the law which connects the decision to the results. So when I say I am responsible for my decisions, now that is what is called as law of karma. Okay. So it is a logical counterpart of free will. So free will and law of karma have to go hand in hand only. Because if there is no law of karma, free will is useless. Right? I won't know what to do with free will. Even if I have the freedom to decide, I cannot make any decision if my decision does not have any correlation with what happens. Right? So just like, if there is no constant law which says if I eat, my hunger will go. When I am hungry, I will not be able to decide to eat. So similarly, if there is no law of karma, my free will becomes meaningless. Right? So it is only because law of karma. What is law of karma? As you sow, so shall you reap. Right? If you do good, you will get good. If you do bad, you will get bad. Now this is called law of karma. Now this law of karma is a counterpart of free will. Because if law of karma is there and there is no free will, then also the law of karma has no meaning. Right? If you say if you do good, you will get good. If you do bad, you will get bad. But if you don't have the freedom to do good or bad, then also the law of karma has no meaning. So law of karma and free will are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. Free will is from the individual point of view. Law of karma is from the universal point of view. Right? They are just counterparts. Right? So now I am the Jivatma, and I have this three things called karma phala, samskara, and jnana. These are the three things which I carry. Right? And by using my free will, I can improve these three: karma phala, samskara, and jnana. I can keep improving. And nature gives me opportunities to improve these three by giving me birth. I get a body, I get a mind. Using this body and mind, I can work on my karma phala, samskara, and jnana using my free will, and I can improve them. And this keeps going. Now, there's a very good example which will help us to understand this. Now, suppose I am, this happens actually like pretty frequently. Okay. So let us say you have, you want to go to a place to take a printout. Okay. What do? You have a Word document in your pen drive. So you have a Word document in your pen drive in your pocket, and you have prepared a document which you want to go and take a printout. Now, on the way to the printing shop, you drop by in your friend's house. You go to your friend's house, and there you are telling your friend, see, I have prepared this document, and I am going to take a printout, and I am going to the printer on the way. I thought I'll come to your house. Then your friend asks, what is this document about? What have you written? And you have a small discussion about it. And during the discussion, you realize that, oh, there is one paragraph in your Word document which you have to make some corrections based on the conversation you had with your friend. Now you have the Word document in your pen drive. You have to make some corrections to the Word document. What will you do? You cannot directly edit the document in your pen drive. So you will ask your friend, hey buddy, like, can I borrow your laptop? I want to edit the Word document. Then your friend gives his laptop to you. And then you power on the laptop, you plug in your pen drive, and you open your Word document on your friend's laptop. You make the correction, you save the Word document back into the pen drive, and then you pull your pen drive out, shut down the laptop, return the laptop back to your friend, and put the pen drive into your pocket. Now, this is the entire story of our life. The pen drive is the Jivatma. We are the pen drive, right? I am the pen drive. And I have some files in my pen drive. There is a karma phala, samskara, and jnana. Okay. Now, I want to improve my Word document. I want to improve my karma phala. I want to get more punya. I want to get more better my samskara. I want to refine my samskaras. and I want to get a better knowledge of this world and whatever it is. So I want to get better knowledge, jnana. So to get better karmaphala and samskara and jnana, without the rest of the facilities, just as being a pen drive, I cannot edit it, right? So what do? I borrow from my friend the pen drive, the laptop. Laptop is the body, right? And my friend is Prakriti, nature. So from nature, I borrow the body and I power it on. So the operating system and the word application, that is the Sukshma Sharira. The laptop is the Sthula Sharira, and the Windows OS and the word application on the laptop, that is the Sukshma Sharira. And I plug in my pen drive, right? That is the Karna Sharira. I plug in my pen drive, and through this laptop, through the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira, I can access my Karma Phala, Samskara and Jnana. The Word document I can access. And I can make whatever changes I want to them. Hopefully, I improve it and not make it worse, right? And then once the work is done, then shut down the laptop, pull out the pen drive, right? The body is gone, the body is dead, and the pen drive is back with me. I put it into my pocket. Now, this is what life is about. So, the real thing that matters in life is karma phala, samskara, and jnana. And we go through life after life, right? And we are given opportunities to improve this Word document, improve this karma phala, samskara, and jnana. And we go from life to life. So, this is what life is about. The laptop, the OS, the application, they're all borrowed from Prakriti. No point in improving them, right? Improving the laptop, improving the OS is not our job, right? That is Prakriti's job. Prakriti will maintain it. Our job is to improve karma phala, samskara, and jnana. This is what is important, right? So now we talk about birth. Is it a birth and rebirth? Is it a belief? Does this whole thing depend upon that belief? Vedanta says no. We don't believe in birth and rebirth and all. We believe in free will. Free will is our belief, right? We believe in free will. That we have free will is a belief. Okay. It cannot be proved, it cannot be disproved. It's a belief, it's a faith. But then the moment we believe in free will, then all the rest follow logical conclusions. They're all corollaries. If we believe in free will, we have to believe in law of karma, because free will and law of karma are two sides of the same coin. So the moment I believe in free will, I have to believe in law of karma. The moment I believe in law of karma, then I have to explain the experiences in this world. Now, what do we see in this world? We see that one child is born to rich parents in an AC ward. Another child is born to very cultured parents, right? And another child is born on the platform to a beggar, right? Now, why are there these differences in birth, right? What is the cause for these differences in birth? One child is born in a rich family, another child is born in a cultured family, another child is born in a poor family with neither culture nor wealth. Now, where are these differences coming from, right? Gita in the 6th chapter explains very well that it is because of the past Purva Janma Punya. So Krishna says, if a person does spiritual sadhana to the highest extent, then he will be born Jnaninam Kule, in a very cultured family where the parents are Jnanis and the parents have exposure to all these things. Now, a slightly less amount of punya if you have, you will be born in Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, Krishna says. So basically, like in a Srimatam, in a very wealthy family, Suchinam, in a pure, noble, wealthy family, you will be born. If you do spiritual sadhana, if you have advanced in spiritual life to a large extent, then you will be born in a cultured and a wealthy family, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, or still further, you will be born in a Jnaninam Kule. But Krishna says these are that Jnaninam, getting birth in a family of Jnanis is very, very rare, he says. And then, like, if you have not that good karma phala, then you might be born in a ordinary family, lower family, and poor family, and all that. So, this differences in birth, which we observe, if we want to explain logically, there is no other option other than believing that because of what this Jivatma did in its previous birth, the current birth is decided. So, the previous birth is not a belief, it is a logical conclusion based on belief in free will. Similarly, even at the last moment of the life, a person might make some decisions. Like, say, for example, at the deathbed, a person is on the deathbed, and there is a nurse who has come to clean his wounds, and this person scolds the nurse. You don't know what it is paining. Only if you also experience like this, you will know. Why are you being so rough? What is this? He scolds the nurse who has come to help him. Now, this is a karma which is done. The nurse feels very bad. The nurse is hurt mentally. But then this guy dies off, passes away immediately. Now, where will the phala for this karma go? This Jivatma has made a conscious decision and has created a karma. So, there will have to be a next birth where this Jivatma will have to experience the results of that karma. So, that way, the next birth also has to be there. Right? So, the past birth and the next birth both have to be there to logically explain what we observe in this universe. If we assume free will. So, free will is a belief. Now, if you say, like, no, I don't believe in free will, I believe only in materialistic science, I believe everything is just matter only, then of course you are free to believe that. But what is the consequence of that? Now, suppose if you say there is no free will, then there is no idea of responsibility, there is no idea of right and wrong, there is no concept called purpose of life, there is no concept of crime and punishment, right? All these things are dependent upon free will. If the criminal did not have the free will to commit the crime, then on what basis will you give punishment to him? So our entire system of, giving salary for work, right, and rewarding for good work, punishing for bad work, right, giving punishment for crime, your legal system, your economic system, financial system, everything will collapse, right? Because everything is dependent on this assumption of free will that people have the freedom to decide what they want to do. It is only based on that we have ideas of purpose of life, salary for work, payment for services, crime, punishment. Everything is based on the assumption of free will. All those things will collapse. Of course, there have been people like Sam Harris who have tried to build up a logical system without assuming free will, but then which can keep all these things intact. Right? There's a beautiful book called Moral Landscapes, which he has written, and there's a book on free will itself, like where he tries to reconstruct society without free will. Right? There's a good attempt, but then it doesn't work in a practical way for us to lead a life, to decide our everyday things in a life. So as a working model, we need free will. That is undeniable. So once free will is assumed or believed in, then the rest of it is a logical conclusion. So the idea of birth and rebirth is not a belief. That is a logical conclusion of belief in free will. This we should understand. Right? Now this is the core which drives dharma. The entire dharma is based on this idea of free will, law of karma, right? So, and that we carry karma phala, samskara, and jnana from one birth to the other birth. So So basically, like, where does karma, samskara, jnana come from? We saw in the Panchakosha Viveka how, like the way we decide, right, decides that from the subtle and dormant and the what is called as unconscious memory part of the manomaya kosha is what comes as samskara, as habits, and the subtle unconscious dormant memory storage, right? When you say memory, it is storage. The storage part of the vijnanamaya kosha, the value system, is what comes as jnana, right? And the karma phala is how it has been decided. So in a way, you can say like how the pranamaya kosha was used, how the body was used, how the actions were done, right? That comes as karma phala. So that way, like in a way, karma phala, samskara, jnana are the karana part of pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, and vijnanamaya kosha. So that is why are there these three? It's because those three are there, right? So that is how the whole thing falls into place. So the whole thing is very, very logical, very systematic, right? And very rational. The only belief is free will. Now, whether to believe in free will or not, that freedom you have, right? Of course, if you don't believe in free will, you will say like my disbelief in free will also is not my free will. That is the way it goes to. You can see the cycle there, right? So it is cyclical. Anyway, so the moment you believe in free will, all these things come into picture. So now I'll tell you a small story and then we will open up for questions. Okay. So there is a beautiful story in the life of Guru Nanak. There was one wealthy person in a village, a very rich person, who did lot of overseas business in different foreign countries, and he earned a lot of wealth, and he loved his wealth, lot of properties and jewels and gold and diamonds, and he had so many things, and he loved them. He loved to see his collection. Now one day, looking at him, enjoying the sight of his wealth, a neighbor told him, see, whatever it is, when you die, you have to leave all these things and go. You cannot carry this wealth with you. Why are you so attached to this wealth? So his neighbor asked. And this came as a very rude shock to this miser. He was a miser, wealthy miser, right? And he had never thought about it. And then that he cannot carry his wealth when he dies became a shock to him. So he immediately went and asked the scholar in his village. He asked him, people are telling like this, is it true? Then the Pandit said, yes, it is true. When you die, you cannot even take your body with you, leave alone your wealth. How can you take your wealth with you? You can't even take your body. So you have to leave everything here and go, right? Even a broken needle you cannot carry when you go. Then this miser became very worried, very anxious, very sad. He said, like, I've been struggling so hard in my life to earn all this money. And people are saying now that when I die, I have to leave it and go. This is unfair. This is not right. Right? And then he went to all the knowledgeable people in the village. He asked them the same question. Everyone said, no, you have to leave everything and go. And he went wherever he used to travel. He used to go and ask people in those places. Everywhere they told the same thing. Whichever saints or pravachakas who visit the village, he asked them also. Everyone told the same thing, and he was very, very worried. This became the biggest worry in his life. And at this time, Guru Nanak, during his travels across villages, across the countryside, giving, preaching, teaching people, he came to this village accidentally, and he asked the same question as before to Guru Nanak. He said, like, I have spent a lot of my life working hard, traveling to different places and earning this money. And I have earned this money, earned this wealth. And now people are telling that when I die, I have to leave everything and go. It is so unfair. Like, can you tell me how I can take all this wealth with me. Can I do it? Guru Nanak coolly told, yeah, you have worked hard and you have earned all your wealth. So obviously it is yours and you can take it with you when you die. What is the problem? Why should you leave it here and go? Then this came as a big pleasant surprise to the miser. He said, oh, is it so? No one told me this. No, probably no one knows how to do this. Now, I'm very, very happy to know that I can carry all my wealth when I die. Now, please tell me how I can do that. Then Guru Nanak asked him, see, you are saying you did business in multiple countries. He said, yes, yes. I traveled to Europe. I traveled to Middle East, right? Like I have got a big partner in Basra. I have a big partner in Baghdad, and all these people are there. And in Europe also we do business, and in China we do business. And because of all these things only, I have earned all this money. Guru Nanak said, okay, fine. Now, the local currency which you have here, is this valid in your foreign countries? The rupiah, right? The Shershah Suri is the one who introduced rupiah, right? Like, so there is the rupiah valid in other countries? And the Meister said, like, no, this rupiah is valid only in India, only in this country. And when you go to Baghdad or Basra or Europe or China, we have to convert, this money is not valid there. Then Guru Nanak asked, okay, if this money is not valid there, how do you carry your money to those countries to do business? Then the Mysore said, I convert them into diamonds and jewels and precious stones, which are valued equally in all countries. So that is how I carry my money, as either gold or as diamonds and precious gems. And I take it to those countries, and there I convert it into the local currency there, and I can do business in their local currency in those countries. Then Guru Nanak said, yes, good. The same thing you need to do here also. Whatever wealth which you have here, this is not valid in the world which is after death. You cannot carry this. It is not valid. So you have to convert all this wealth into a currency which can be carried across death. Then you can take all your wealth in that currency. It is just the currency exchange which you have to do. Then the Maestro said, yes, good. Very logical. I have done it so many times before. Now you tell me what is the currency which is valid across death. I will convert all my wealth into that currency because I don't know when I will die. So now only I will convert all my wealth into that currency. Tell me what is that currency which is valid across death. And Guru Nanak said, you are very wise. Yes, that currency is called Punya. Punya is the currency which is valid across death. So if you convert whatever wealth, whatever money you convert into Punya, that you carry with you when you die. And whatever you have not converted, you leave it here when you go. This is the way things work, right? So basically, karma phala or punya, good karma phala is what is punya. So whatever we, using this life, whatever we convert, whatever punya which we gain, right? By helping others, right? By serving people, by giving in charity, all these things, the punya which we gain, that we carry. Then the samskara which we gain, we carry. What is samskara? Habits, right? Now, suppose now I am a very short-tempered person. I get angry very soon. Now I realize my mistake and I work on myself and I become more patient. I reduce my temper. I, become a more patient person. My anger comes down. I learn how to manage my anger. Now this improvement is improving my samskara, right? So to that extent, I have become a better person who has got less anger, less jealousy, less arrogance, less desire. Now that improvement I carry from birth to birth, right? Krishna talks about this very clearly. He says, Neha Bikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Right? Whatever small improvement, Swalpamapi Asya Dharmasya. Right? Whatever small improvement that you do in your samskara, that you carry from birth to birth, that is yours. Right? So basically, our real improvement, our real progress in life is to that extent we have become better people who are more honest, more kind, more self-disciplined, and free from kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, the shatripu, right? Freedom from them. To what extent we have become free from them, that extent we have built up good samskara, and that we carry from one life to another. And the other one, third one is jnana. What is jnana? Whatever you are listening now, whatever you are gaining, this knowledge. Who am I? What is the purpose of life? What is this world? What matters in life? What doesn't matter in life? This is jnana. This knowledge, right? If you get this knowledge also, you carry from birth to birth. Provided you have to absorb this knowledge, right? This knowledge, you have to absorb this knowledge, not at just at a superficial level. If you are able to absorb this knowledge, that also you carry from birth to birth, and you continue in the next birth from where you have left in the current birth, right? Vitta korai, totta korai, there is a proverb, right? So this is what matters in life. So understanding who am I as an individual, as the free will, as the wielder of free will, understanding me as Jivatma and what matters in life, karma phala, samskara, and jnana, and knowing that improving these three is the prime objective of life, and that this is what is called as dharma, right? Okay, so this is the dharma, and this the entire Veda Purva Bhaga is for this. Okay, is to improve our karma phala, samskara, and jnana is what Veda Purva Bhaga is about, and Veda Anta Bhaga is for the next level, where I understand that I am even beyond this as a pure consciousness. But to start with, we have to start from where we are. So this is very important, and all the religions, all spiritual practices of all religions, and all, whether they believe in God or not, like Buddhism and Jainism don't believe in God, but then law of karma they believe. Christianity, Islam, they don't accept previous birth, but next birth they accept, right? Even Christianity and Islam, they say after you die, you have to face the results of your actions, your decisions in the current life, right? That they still believe. Okay. So basically, like this belief in free will and belief in that I'm responsible for my free will and I cannot escape my free will even by death. Even by death, I cannot escape the effect of my actions. Now, this is the core that we need to identify, we need to understand, right? So, past birth and next birth are only logical explanations. Free will is the core belief, and everything else goes from there. So, the whole Vedanta is a two-step process. First, I give up my identification with the body and mind by identifying myself as the Jivatma. What do you mean by that? I say I am not the body, the Annamaya Kosha. I am not this life, Pranamaya Kosha. I am not this mind, Manomaya Kosha. I am not these values, which is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. All these things are my instruments, and I am the wielder of free will. I take decision and I am responsible for them. And my goal is to develop punya, good samskara, and right knowledge. And to do this, to achieve this, I'll do my duty, I'll help others, follow self-discipline, practice japa, puja, meditation, go to satsanga in the form of good company, good books, listening to good lectures, and then do introspection, right? You do all these things to improve these, right? And this is the first step of the process. And after that comes the second step, where I give up the identification with the individuality also. And that is done by identifying with pure consciousness. And for that, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is the process. And Prapatti, complete surrender, is also the process. So this process, that is the second step of the whole thing. So it is like, the plane flying. First, you pick up the speed on the runway. And then when you have picked up sufficient speed, then the plane can fly, right? It can lift off. So that is a two-step process. And what we discussed today is the first step. And that is what we discussed in this shloka, which we saw. Uddhared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. So Uddhared means elevate. What do you mean by elevate? Elevate means we saw the goal, right? From Artha Kama Pradhana, we go to Dharma Pradhana, from there to Moksha Pradhana. So that is what is elevate. And elevate, now in the context of what we discussed today, we can say elevate means gaining more punya, gaining more good samskara, and gaining the right knowledge. That is what is meant by Uddhared. How do we do that? Atmana Atmanam, by the right use of the body, mind, and intellect. And Natmanam Avasadayet. We should not lower, we should not do papa and lower ourselves. We should do punya and elevate ourselves. And when this body, mind, and intellect are under our control, they are our friend. And when they are not under our control, they are our enemy. So in school, we would have written, fire, is it a friend or enemy? Nuclear power, is it a friend or enemy? Now these days, internet, social media, is it our friend or enemy? Everywhere the answer is the same. If we are the master and they are the slave, they are our friend. If they become the master and we become their slave, they become our enemy. Right? That is exactly what is mentioned in the next actually Gita shloka. 6.6 talks of, exactly mentions that. Right? So when the mind is also an instrument like that. Right? When it is a slave, it is a good slave, but a bad master. Right? So this is what we have discussed so far. Right? Now we are running out of time, so I will pause here. And if there are any questions, we can take. And okay, yeah. Okay. The knowledge check slide is missing. I'll add it and send it. Before sending, I will add it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, Google Sridhar here.
Yes, Sridhar.
Yeah. In terms of, can you comment on the free will in terms of the power of words? The power of words. So the power of words in our daily transactions. Second is the power of words in terms of setting our goals.
See, words are also the way we talk. We have the free will to talk what we want to talk. Okay. So that is also, you can say in a way, there are three types of action, right? Mental action, physical action, and verbal action. So it is another action, right? So what we talk is under our free will. We decide what to talk. Right?
Okay.
And we should speak the right things. Just as we should do the right action, we should speak the right words also.
Okay. And they say that the power behind words. So, we find that, say somebody, we think of some person, not even words, maybe thoughts. We think of a person and then we find within 5 minutes the person is calling us or something. So how does...
See, a lot of things, the thing is, don't get into mysticism and mystery. Okay. Now, Swamiji has clearly told, keep away from anything which is mysterious. Okay. So those things may be there, may not be there. Don't worry about all that. Right. Vedanta is very simple. Right. It is just simple, straightforward, right? Logical, rational, testable. So just stick to this. If you say, yeah, like if you tell something, someone will call back. Like those things, you don't need to worry too much about it. Right. Your objective is to gain punya, improve your samskara, and improve your jnana. Just focus on these three. Everything else are only means to improve these three. If something helps you to improve your punya, samskara, and jnana, fine, go ahead. If it is not affecting your punya, samskara, and jnana, it is just a waste of time. That's all. Don't worry about it.
And the goal setting process through free will, you know,
This is the goal. Goal is to gain punya, goal is to develop good samskara, goal is to develop right jnana. Everything else, all other goals, we should point to this goal, right? Your goal is to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Number one, right? Today, I should be more patient than I was yesterday. Today, I should be less jealous than I was yesterday. So I should be a better person today than I was yesterday. This is goal number one. Goal number two is I should get more punya today than I had yesterday. My punya bank balance should increase. I should have more punya today than I had yesterday. End of the day, I should have more punya. That is another second goal. These are the only two goals needed, right?
Okay. Sorry, one related. So we talk about 1 year goals, 3 year goals, 5 year goals, and things.
This is the goal. All the goals you focus only on this. For punya, samskara, and jnana, you have 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 3 year goal. You have all your goals you have, right? But let all your goals be focused on only these three.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Shubdeep, you can unmute.
Yeah, so you mentioned that the Karana Sharira or the Jivatma is non-material. So is it from the relative standpoint, or because eventually the Karana Sharira is also destroyed, right? So
no, Karana Sharira is not destroyed. It is Sanatana. Read the 15th chapter. Several places Krishna very clearly says Karana Sharira is Sanatana. Right? Mamaivamsho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. And Dvavimau Purusho Loke Ksharascha Akshara Evacha. So Kshara is the lower four koshas. Akshara is the Karana Sharira. So the Dvavimau Purusho Loke Kshara Akshara Evacha. Right? Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. Right? Kutastam Akshara Uchyate. So the Akshara, the Karana Sharira is Kutastha. It is eternal. It is Akshara.
but post moksha, is it not destroyed?
No, it's not. Moksha is a shift in identity. We will see in the next class. Right? Moksha is shift in identity. It's entirely different ball game altogether.
Okay. But eventually it is said that you transcend all the 5 sheets, right?
Transcend. Transcend is different from destroy. Right?
Okay, so means Karana Sharira is eternal.
It is eternal. It is Sanatana.
Okay. So only means the Shukshma Sharira perishes.
Yes. Stula Sharira perishes when this world perishes. If in the 8th chapter, Krishna gives how this Pralaya and Kalpa and all those things happen. So at the end of Pralaya, this Stula Sharira of everyone destroys. So the entire physical universe gets destroyed. But the Sukshma Sharira survives. The Sukshma Sharira is still there. That is the Brahmaji. Brahmaji is the sum total of all Sukshma Shariras of everyone put together is called Hiranyagarbha. That is Brahmaji. And Brahmaji's lifetime is there. And when a Brahmaji's lifetime gets over, that is when the Sukshma Sharira of all Jivatmas also get destroyed. And everyone gets a new Sukshma Sharira. A new Brahmaji comes. But then the Karna Sharira, that is eternal. That never gets destroyed. That is Sanatana.
Is it one or is it like multiple for each person different Karana Sharira?
That is each person, like basically it's a reflection. We will, when you go to the next 2 classes, we will be able to understand all this, right? Like we'll deal with these in detail. So basically the Karana Sharira is basically like, it is, see, basically it's just the saying that there are multiple Karana Shariras itself is just a concept. We will see. But then like Karana Shariras, like as far as, as an individual is concerned, Karana Shariras, each individual is one Karana Sharira. The Karana Sharira is the one which defines you and I as individuals. Right?
We hear that it is like the seed from which the entire...
That is the Karana. Karana means seed, right? Karana means bija, seed.
Yeah, so every person typically means can have a different...
Don't say have, is. The Karana Sharira is the individual. It is not an individual Sharira An individual does not have a Karna Sharira. No. The
Individual
Karna
is
Sharira
the
is the
Karana.
individual. The
He is
Karna
the
Sharira is the individual.
Okay, okay.
The way you use words should reflect your understanding.
Right, right. Okay.
Good. Yeah, any other questions?
Namaste, sir.
Yes, Punita.
Actually, when I'm working in a situation, when I order my subordinates to do something, they are not ready to work. So they are now finding that I am torturing them.
Okay.
But as my job is, I have to get the work done. So I'm very strict to get the work done. Means whether my free will, how should I think? That is that if I give karuna to that lady, then it is my happiness, or I'm doing something good to her. But I'm not doing good to my job.
Understood. Yeah. See, that's what. See, you have to
So,
follow dharma. See, dharma is you have to follow dharma, right? Now, saying okay, like I will relax just because I want to please the other person. That is actually adharma, right? Adharma will give you papa only. Only dharma will give you punya. But then, like, you also be kind. You have to be honest. You have to be kind also. So you try to see, okay, like what is their situation, how you can help their situation so that they can do their job properly. Right? See, they have no option other than doing their job properly. They have to do their job properly. But then you can tell them, okay, like, see, you have to do your job, but tell me how I can help you to do your job. Right? You can try to like understand their personal situations, and you can try to help them to do their job. But then what is their job? It is their job, and they have to do it. There is no excuse. Right? You have to be strict in that.
Well, actually, this situation happened 2-3 years back, and I strictly told her to do the work. But immediately in that weekend itself, I got affected by ligament tear, and I was hospitalized. I have to take rest like that. So God has punished me. I
No,
thought.
don't get into such confusions. Okay. If you have done your job, like you don't need to worry about anything. Okay. So you don't unnecessarily link unrelated things. Okay. So and then don't worry. Like, see, basically your job is to get punya, get samskara, improve your samskara, and improve your jnana. Right. And punya is got by doing your work correctly, being honest. That is important. Right. As long as you are honest, as long as you are convinced that you have done the right thing, don't worry about anything else.
Okay. I thought I was punished, so I am wrong in that situation. I thought like that. So I don't know how to judge a particular thing, and I how to think and how to do the things done. Whether I have to be in this side or on that side, or how I have to react for that particular situation.
Gita says, Karmana Gagano Gatihi. Like it is very, very deep. It's very difficult to understand. It is very difficult to connect the cause and effect.
Very difficult to understand which is correct.
No. Which is the cause and which is the effect is very difficult to understand. So it is not easy to tie the effect to the cause that easily. Okay. So don't worry about it. Don't try to do it at all, I would say. Right? Because you have got so much of past karma. Which karma created this result, you will never be able to. You don't know. So better not try to match your karma phala to which karma you did. Like don't that will often it will be misleading. Okay. So you go by what is dharma. What does this? What does Gita say we should do? We should not do. Right? Satyam vada dharmam chara. Right? That is stick to that. Right? That is easier.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Abbas. So your question got answered, Abbas?
Yes, more or less. I will have to think about a few things bit more, but I have some food for thought now.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay,
I
I
have
think, yeah.
Oh, can I ask one question very quickly, or maybe in the next class? It's
Yeah, I think we're running short of time, right? Already it's beyond more than 8:30
yes.
and people have started to leave. So I think people will have different work. So you just hold your question. We will start with that in the next class. Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will chant Om Shanti 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 and we will end. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishnarpanamastu.